Oh, we're on the water.
We're on the water.
We're on the tubes.
I think the firmware update fixed the camera, so
it actually kind of looks like it did.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wow, an update that actually worked.
Well, in the
but
camera's
now it's me.
defense.
I was just saying now I just saw Corey do it.
Oh, great. Now I got to install Ralph's firmware.
Oh, it was like 4 major versions behind, so I think it was definitely needed to be done.
Whoa.
A 4 integer upgrade, and it didn't break
Yeah.
anything in the process. Although it was only one device,
and actually
right?
fixed.
Yeah. Well, I'd already tried
Novel.
3 different USB ports.
I'm just going to rock with the glitches. I kind of like them. I feel like they're a feature.
Yeah, they're a feature, not a bug.
No. I like
Undocumented
glitches.
features. That's all
An
they are.
undocumented feature.
Right. They're added bonuses.
Yeah. I mean, documentation is overrated.
I'm telling you, Corey, I'm going to get a huge screen behind me so that I can like put up other things, right? You know, you have like the little lights. I'm just going to get a TV.
I think if you're going to do anything, you got to go green screen and then let Ryan just set your background to whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Just get a little macro pad that Ryan can control.
Yeah, no, I'm going to get I'll get a TV that
Stream
you can
Deck.
like put other stuff into.
Or better,
I have
make
a
it so the
Stream Deck.
Discord can
just give
change
me
it.
some programming.
Oh, yeah.
Make it
that's
so
a
like
great
people
way to
can
get
vote.
canceled.
No. I'm not saying they can change it to whatever image they want. I'm saying they can choose different modes. They can go like Ralph's in a gator swamp, Ralph's in a data center.
Yeah. All right.
Ralph's running a marathon.
As if this doesn't go off the rails enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we need more. All right,
Ralph
are we ready
wants
to
more
kick this thing
doors.
off?
Oh, we were born ready.
I was
Let's do
born
it.
last night.
All right.
I was born last night.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. I'm your host, John Strand. In this particular edition, we're going to be talking about all kinds of very weirdly named things. General Electric's investigating a breach. We got a phishing attack. It's now using AI. We've got Fidelity Financial Mortgage Network is compromised. CISA's got a new exploit, privilege escalation on Linux. We have tons and tons of things. But today I am joined once again by an illustrious cast of InfoSec professionals and otherwise. We have Ryan, once again, always making us look good and sound good. Ryan, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good.
All right, good to hear. We have Kelly is with us today. Yay. Welcome back, Kelly. We missed you.
I missed everybody else too, John. Good to see you as well.
It's almost like some people have work to do or something. It's weird. We have Mike is with us as very regularly. Mike, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. I hope you and your family had a good holiday weekend.
I did. It only involved getting stuck in airports overnight twice, so I consider that a win. So we have Florida man, by the way, Ralph. But just so you know, we have a story today that's not a Florida man; it's a Georgia man story. So
That's really a
congratulations on
disappointment. Honestly, we could try harder.
We can. You can. Florida's got to raise their game. Speaking of in the game, Fat Man Will is with us, sir. How's the watch working out for you?
Oh, it's definitely gave me a lot to talk with about the doctor today when I went.
It
So
does. It does. Welcome to the club, and I'm sorry.
that's okay.
These watches give you shit whenever you don't work out. They're like, you need to go do something.
You know what? I need it though. I need it.
That's
So
what we do. Awesome. Somebody just said it's hard to recognize Ralph from this angle.
That's a fact.
I fully
That's a
agree. I felt the exact same way, Ben. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm in anti-streamer mode.
There you go. And then, speaking of angles and cute puppies in the background, Bronwyn is with us. Hey, Bronwyn. See the puppies there? Say hi to the puppy for us.
That's Louis.
And-
He's my little old man.
Ah, Louie. And then we have, that coffee guy. Corey is with us as usual. All right, everybody. I'm just going to grab a story at random. Is that okay?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Isn't that the whole show?
Yeah, I mean, if we normally plan out,
pretty
I
much
don't
the
think we
entire show. Oh, by the way, folks, I have to bounce a little early. So if I leave, God help us, I'm
Mid-sentence.
going to let Corey take
Approved.
this into the side. Approved. That's my job.
I stole your line. I stole his line.
Oh god.
Approve. It's one of those words I can spell correctly. So General Electric is investigating a claim of a cyber attack and data theft. This in and of itself, we had someone that said, ooh, this General Electric breach, that could be bad. It could be. But my favorite thing about this particular story is the threat actor, Intel broker, attempted to sell access to General Electric's development and software pipelines for $500 on a hacking forum. And it didn't sell.
Well, I do like how their profile just their subline is just the racist. That's their profile.
It's just like you got to kind of feel bad for General Electric a little bit. Like you can see the CEO or stuff's for sale online. How much are they charging for it? $500 million. Those bastards. No, not million. $500,000. Yes. Sir, it's
lower.
$500. What? 500? Yeah, that's it. Not any higher than that. That's and no one bought it.
Yes, it was not on sale yet.
General Electric.
So
wasn't on cyber sale yet.
As someone who spends a lot of time on these kinds of websites, no one ever believes that anything is real ever. So like actually getting, I will also say a lot of the times they will advertise like a single sale, and I think those get more. Basically, from my perspective, it's kind of a standoff where it's like the first person that buys it is then going to publish it or try to resell it. So like once one person buys it and distributes it, it's free for me after that. But the one tactic I've seen that works is if they advertise it as this is a one-time sale. I'm never going to disclose this ever again. Then typically companies like Mandiant or other entities will maybe step in. I mean, who knows, right? I don't know. It's not like I work for Mandiant, but my thought is we talk about development pipelines. We talk about breaches. I always think of token theft. That's where my brain goes. We've seen it multiple times. You know, someone's development keys for GitHub or keys for GitLab or something are compromised, and then someone just pulls down the entire repo. That's what happened at Twitch a few years ago, I think.
Yeah,
so
that's right. But still,
I think it's just a Cyber Monday deal because my inbox is full of Cyber Monday deals. That's what the attackers were doing.
If it's like the way that you can get your GE washer and dryer to not just die after 3 years, I definitely could see that would be worth $500.
I would buy it for that. I just, for me, if I was on these forums, it would be like buying domains. You know, for a lot of us, we have an addiction of buying random domains. Like someone's like $500 for access to, I'll pay that. You know, it's worth a shot.
For don't tase me .bro.
Oh, you got to get the .bros, man. They're really good.
Yeah. General Electric next week. Hiring entry-level cybersecurity analyst, 8 years plus experience with AI leverage SIM, 25 years experience with Office Suite.
10 plus years with Move
It.
Nice.
Oh my God. It hurts so bad because it's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, like the data that they teased was like, they just say DARPA related military information, files, SQL files, documents, etc. That's all I need to know. Etc. I was in.
Yeah, right there. That's the $500 straight up. Once again, I can still see the CEO and CFO being like, no one wanted to buy that at all. Like, okay, I guess we're sad. You know, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna wax my Porsche for a little while.
Nice.
Profile of our not as high as we'd like it to be. All right, someone's
I'm scared.
Loud. Here we got
Ian, you are the APT.
I am.
Welcome to the internet.
And now announcing Ian.
Ian. Now batting.
I thought it was me, but it's not me.
It's totally happened when Ian joined.
Might be fixed.
What?
Nope.
Not at it.
We still got it. Grayson. Let's see if it was Grayson. It was Grayson.
Oh, wait.
Really?
It's where the echoes came from. Come back
No, it was
on.
Ian.
Jason, come back on.
No, we're
It's
blaming
Ian.
Ian.
I'm sorry, Ian.
It's Ian.
It's
How can it be Ian?
1, 2, 3, not it.
Not it.
I think he fixed
Not
it.
it.
I think he fixed it.
1, 2, 3,
Hi,
echo.
Ian.
If you're wondering how to cause a denial of service on a podcast, that's
Just come in with an
that's
echo.
how you do it.
Either that, or you just start dropping pictures of kittens, and then that's it.
So okay, let's get the show off track. So
Oh.
is this? Let's talk about Looney Tunables. I feel like we have to.
Tunables.
Anytime we
Looney
talk about
Tunables.
anything in glibc, I get all excited.
Looney
so-
Tunables. Did
It's
we
such a
own
good
Warner
name.
Brothers?
I feel like 10 out of 10 for the name. Who's with me?
Absolutely. I don't know who named it, but
100%.
just absolutely fantastic. That should be trademarked.
It was
for those-
flawless. Are you still want to keep that 10 out of 10 rating?
No, I think we got to drop it down to 9.8.
Speaking of vendors, come to our snake oil summit.
Nothing to do with Qualys. Yes, Snake Oil Summit. If you want to know vendors and snake oil, we'll talk more about it a little bit later. But so the Tunables glibc library is designed so you can
link is
talk
this?
and then you can adjust malloc memory allocation and CPU timing, so you can actually tune the performance of your app as it relates to the CPU. And I've heard it's been deprecated. I don't know if it's been deprecated or not. Let me check that.
I got you.
I've heard that there's been a lot of newer ones that are out there. It says, finally, a set of tunables may vary between distributions. Tunables feature allows distributions to have their own. For some reason, I thought that they were working on deprecating this particular one for something more efficient. But seriously, when you look at what this has access to inside the kernel, like if you list out tunables, it has access to malloc, which is memory allocation, CPU, shared cache sizing, PT threads, or P threads, CP prefer map, mem tagging. It's like literally a who's and what's what of very, very sensitive CPU functions.
Well,
And
John,
it's like, so
that's
there's
really
a privilege escalation here. Who would have thought?
John, that's really technical. The scary words that you need to know from this
Looney
one
Tunes.
is in their default configurations.
Aw.
That is the scary phrase.
Yep.
That is the scary phrase of this one, because it sounds like, oh, tunables, never heard of it. I'm not Richard Stallman. I don't know how tunables work, but it doesn't matter because it's exploitable in the default configuration. That's the scary part.
Wait a second. Nothing's ever bad in the default configuration. We're
Everyone,
supposed to change configurations. Nobody's
I'm
ever done anything with
hey,
that.
I'm gonna push back, Mike. I'm going to push back because this is a library on your Linux system. This isn't like an app that you tune. Like these are shared object libraries, glibc. You would not tune this. Like this is not like a default configuration. You're like, well, you're a moron. What do you mean you didn't modify your glibc tunables environmental variables? No one ever in the history, except for Bill Stearns.
Bill messes with everything.
Script to tune.
So what I thought was
Impossible.
funny about this attack too is it's just an environment variable that you modify to do the injection, and then you run the sudo the set privileys.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then your root, like it that's wild. You just run, the SUID permissions. You just dude, this is trivial to exploit.
I personally come from the place of like a lot of the times what we see nowadays are vulnerabilities by misconfiguration. Those are like, I think if you're in a patched like mature company, that's the most common vulnerabilities are like, wait, we shouldn't just have everyone able to add a new guest user to Azure, or have everyone the ability to create a new user or something like that.
Wait a minute, Corey. You mean we're going to make the exact same mistakes in cloud computing that we made all the way up? By the way, Ben from KC just nailed it with a comment that said all those people that are running Gen 2 are like, I tune this all the time. Good point, Ben. Good point.
So do you think the goal is to stay in persistence within the Kubernetes environments, or what do you think they're really trying to get after here?
I don't think it matters.
Well,
it's
the same old.
That's it.
No, it's the same old. They establish a web shell and they sell it for $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your basic web shell now is a root web shell. And it's over. We'll talk about the Mirai botnet and DOS. We got a different vulnerability 0 day that came from Akamai. But But in this particular one, it's just a local privilege escalation. I think that there's proof of concept code out for it already. I think.
Oh yeah, no, it's hot and spicy, ready for exploit.
Yeah, it's ready to go. And it's
Okay.
like you said, I think it's just an environmental variable, so it's not like I'm trying to find the C code to exploit this.
Yeah,
it's like no,
the
it's not that hard.
glibc tunables. So like this is the environment variable, glibc_tunables. That's the environment variable. You modify that, and you can, when you launch a binary, and you can execute code. So I mean,
Yeah, the
halfway to
current
execute.
malware they mentioned in the post is specifically targeting the PHP testing framework PHP unit, but there could theoretically be exploits in a whole variety of other units or other Linux things.
Yeah.
So, big bad fix. There's also a BOD 2201, which everyone knows what that means, obviously.
Yeah, I had 3 of those for dinner.
No.
So let's pretend some of us don't know what that is, Corey.
I've got a couple in the Instapot.
If you don't know what
The
that
air
is, then you
fryer.
don't need to worry. You're already patched. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, the BOD is I mean, this is a CISA thing, so I don't really know, but that's a binding directive, basically, meaning like you have to fix it by the state, or else you're, breach of CISA.
Trouble.
You're in
Yeah.
double secret probation.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
government, internal government auditors are going to come after you.
Nothing.
Is
scarier
Restream like
than double
dying
secret
for anyone, or is
probation.
it just me?
Restream's rocking for me. I'm feeling good.
Okay.
It's
I'm
dying.
getting a lot of static, but
If it works for me, it must be my fault then.
Ryan, as the driver of this plane, are you flying into a cliff, or does everything look good from your side?
No, you're the pilot, dude.
I was about to say, if we have a driver for the plane, we're already in a real problem.
On my screen, the entire interface has been completely frozen for like.
We
10
don't
minutes.
even do titles right. All right, let's keep rolling. This next one, I don't know if this is funny, if this is tragic, if this is scary, or if this is stupid. There's a lot going on in this SE Media, SE Magazine article. It said phishing attack spike attributed to generative AI adoption, and it starts with this sentence that is just like, well, it seems a bit off. But Silicon Angle reports that phishing attacks have increased by 1,265% between the fourth quarter of 2022 and the third quarter of 2023, while credential phishing has risen by 967%. Those are huge numbers, right? Like, I don't know how they're coming to that, but at any rate, the reason why they say that this is going up so much is because generative AI is going just so powerful at creating convincing profile pictures, impeccable text, not to mention the ability to code malware. The threat landscape is shifting incredibly fast now, as opposed to last year or the year before that, with the introduction of AI to the name of the game. But the good news is that AI can also be used to defend against sophisticated attackers. This sounds just stupid. But at any rate, yes.
I think we found that this media outlet is just AI generated.
Yes, this whole article.
We click on ST staff. Do we get like bot 2000?
Like, I am not
Sorry
kidding.
I read that to you, but it was so painful I had to share.
I love that you were reading it and you were like, oh, I don't like this.
It makes me feel bad.
This whole article just screams scare tactic to me.
It does.
Also, there's no attributed like, by name. It just says SC staff, aka the AI API key.
Right. Even somebody who's fairly new to this industry and things, those numbers seem outrageous to me. That it can increase that much in a year.
Well, I mean, we should all have gotten at least 3 phishing emails today.
So
yeah, with those numbers, absolutely. And I'm only at 1.
So we got.
I'm only at 1.
Okay, let's talk about the AI thing.
Fatman Will, hold on. I got you. Just
okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm feeling left out, Ian.
Okay.
So let's go through this. If we read this article, it says Silicon Angle reports that phishing attacks have increased by 1,265. And Silicon Angle is not a company. It's another website that is a news website. And new report released by phishing protection company SlashNext Incorporated. So it's literally referencing like another article from another like internet
SlashNext. What does anyone
It's
know?
nested
SlashNext
reporting. It's
Never
nested
And
reporting.
SlashNext is a complete generative AI security for email, mobile, and browser.
So basically, okay, John, I figured it out. I know why the numbers went up. It's because this company didn't exist a month ago.
exist.
And
This
they're
is
trying to
called
scare everybody from their
clever
competition
marketing.
so they can hurry up and grab it.
They got reference to dark web stuff in here too.
Oh, nice.
I've definitely made phishing
you have
sites
to.
that look just like this. If you go to businessgpt.net, which is one of our phishing sites, it's basically the same thing.
They have a
Has
console.
anybody ever heard of Hawk's Hunt?
Hey, that looks like my
What?
watch display.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Really? You're getting 30,000 fishes on your watch? You really
No, I
should
mean,
have
like,
checked
replace
out.
them with different words, and that's like totally what like the phone, John, the Garmin phone app, doesn't it? Like some of the displays.
Oh, but they have no. It's okay, guys. They're trusted by their customers. It says they're trusted, so it's fine.
Yes. They're
Believe me, I'm trusted.
Like this is so weird. Like this whole
Go to
article.
/WP-login. Log in with admin. We all know how it goes. All right. Anyway,
I like Proxmarks. Hello, my name is Almundo, but you can call me Chip. No, I am not an AI bot. So I just
I thought as you were clicking through the article, at some point we were just going to dig deep enough until we found a Furby that had been hooked up to Twitter.
It's
that counts as phishing.
So it's nightmare fuel, right? It's like this Furby skeleton that's now running.
It's sad to say that because those things are back, so it could
Oh
be true.
yeah, and more powerful than ever.
Yes, they've come back.
Yeah,
I'm scared.
It's like Stephen King's Pet Cemetery, but for like electronic pets that keep.
I guarantee you, we're gonna read an article on here one week.
Oh, probably.
Because when they first came out, it was a huge thing in the government because people kept bringing them into their offices like idiots.
I gotta see how much they cost now. Like, how much is a Furby?
They're like under $100 or something like that.
Yeah.
Not everyone knows what a Furby is.
Oh wow! For those of you who didn't get to
Man.
experience these fun, lovable things,
They're like a
It's like a Teddy
Flipper
Ruxpin.
Zero, right?
it's
They're
like
Flipper
a
Zero.
mixture. It's a mixture of a gremlin and a
troll.
mogwai and a Teddy Ruxpin, like Corey
And
said.
one of those creepy
Man, if
things
we
from
can't-
like those
you
Disney
cannot
displays.
say people don't remember Furby and then reference Teddy Ruxpin.
Well done, Will.
True.
Well
Sorry,
done.
going the wrong way there.
Yeah, you fell straight into.
I trapped you. I got you.
It's
It wasn't
all right.
No, wait a
I don't
second.
know.
In his
We
in
look
his
at our
defense-
ASP cards.
In his defense, Teddy Ruxpin did make a comeback a few years ago, so
did.
people might understand that reference.
It just keeps coming back.
Furby
I love
in the
Brian.
same
I do.
genre
Before we
as
go, we're
Tamagotchis?
smashing on this a bit.
Yeah.
There's one thing that if anyone leaves here and they do like the critical analysis of this article, and you say, when should I look at this and say, this is made of snake oil and fake unicorn tears and
It
whatnot?
feels like snake oil. It feels like snake oil.
It does. It's the 1,000.
Isn't that what we tell people when they're looking at phishing?
Yeah.
That is not a quantifiable number. Like, there's no anything to give you any sort of reason to believe that they've any sort of metric to base it off of. And even more than that, I actually don't care if there's been a 40 bajillion the 11d4% increase in phishing attacks. Because that's what it says, right? Increase in phishing attacks.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
they successful?
Yeah.
Tell me that generative AI is making the phishing attack more successful in reaching actions on objective, and now I'm concerned.
And also, I got a question. Now, there's some firms that I trust their data, right? Like Verizon comes out with the data breach report.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it. They've been like semi-trustworthy actors in the field for a long, long, long time. Mandiant comes out with a report. I'm probably going to trust it. There's a bunch of different companies, right, that have been around. They come out with these reports, and they seem pretty legit. But setting aside some of those large vendors that have been around for a really, really, really long time, if you're a new vendor and your whole thing is selling AI to protect email, and you're talking about generative AI is, creating this, huge spike and all of this, and none of us on the show have heard of your company, immediately, legit security professionals are probably not going to listen to you, especially because I was plugging around on this website. I can't see where their data is coming from. Like they're not sharing the raw data at all. It's just like Ian said, they're just coming up with numbers and throwing it at a wall.
So I don't want to throw any previous employers under the bus here, but having been involved as the source data for articles like this before, usually it's one marketing person has a really good idea and they talk to one person and then someone crunches the numbers and then that's the report.
Yeah. So
supposedly this company does their own email filtering and security, so that's how they basically are sourcing the data. So it's like, I don't know.
Oh God. All right, let's get to something that is kind of like true and real and scares the living hell out of me. The Fidelity National Financial being shut down in wake of a cybersecurity incident. So Fidelity National is a Fortune 500 company that provides title insurance and settlement services for mortgage and real estate industries, and they are currently shut down.
And if you're thinking that Fidelity, it's the other Fidelity.
It's the other Fidelity, the Fortune 500 company. But it seems bad. Like based on our investigation to date, FNF has determined that an unauthorized third party accessed certain FNF systems and acquired certain credentials. The investigation remains ongoing. I think one of the biggest things that's terrifying about this is there's two things, right? One leads to the other. One, we're getting limited information, but two, the information we are getting out of this leads me to believe that they have no freaking clue how bad it is. And that's probably the most terrifying thing.
Allow me to attribute this using my next generation AI technology.
Go for it.
I bet you this was Scattered Spider.
I will almost confirm that for you, at least at this point. The Register went ahead, reported last week about this, and they said that it was BlackCat, which is supposed to be Scattered Spider's protectors. And it looks like, according to a scan from GOSI, it looks like this might be another case of Citrix bleed.
Yep.
Oh, again.
No.
Citrix bleed plus PostX plus maybe some SE. I could see it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I watch the financial stuff because of where I work, and there have been more and more since Citrix bleed hit. There have been more and more of these ransomware attacks against financial companies that a lot of people might not have heard of, but are big on the back end. So it doesn't surprise me at this point.
We got paranoid and checked all of our CPT customers for Citrix bleed because I was like, I didn't think this was going to be a thing, and then it was still being a thing, and I was like, okay, we should probably like double check. Everyone was patched, luckily, but it was scary.
What's CPT?
What's that?
Oh, sorry, continuous penetration testing.
Yeah, it's where we pen test customers.
It's our customers that hate themselves the most and want to bring as much pain as possible on their security teams by having us continuously hack them for just forever.
Remind me to keep you out of marketing, Corey.
No, let's go. There's nothing. Like, take a look at marketing.
If you're a glutton for punishment and
put Corey on the main screen.
If you want marketing, attacks are up 1,263%. Source. I Googled it.
But no, look at Corey right now. Like Corey's hair is all over the place. He just did that amazing marketing pitch, and he's wearing like a Windows 3.1 for Workgroups t-shirt.
Right.
Like
it's Vaporwave 95.
Vaporwave 95. Wow. So, also, let's talk about FNF stock. Now, this is the other thing I wanted to ask all of you. Their stock is only down 0.4%. Oh, wait, no, 0.47%. Like, how, like, is there any relation between stock and hack? Like, and this is one of those things. No. Ian, I'm going to call you into this. And then I'd like to get Kelly in as well. Like, seriously, y'all, we've been talking about this for years. Like, that you're always like, well, how are we going to get the board of directors to take this seriously and take security seriously and take the C-O's, make it take. It didn't, in fact, their stock price. They don't care, right? So Fidelity next week. Years of experience, AI leverage SIB, 25 years of experience with office, and starting at $15 an hour.
I don't know who you are, Goosh, but you need to come on the show now because you're hilarious.
All right, so like I really want to open up to Ian and Kelly on this one because they're the two people that I talk to the most about this whenever I get down and sad and troubled and I need a helping hand. All right, take it away, Ian. What do you think?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I opened up the 8K over here. So somebody in the comments, I'm not logged in where I can pull up the comments, but somebody in the comments put up, did they file with the SEC? I think it was Brian.
They did. It is in the SEC. It did show up. And the entire SEC report is like 3 sentences. That's it.
Yeah, and the boilerplate stuff,
and the boilerplate stuff up top. Yep.
Right. So part of the reason why, one, to answer your question simply, no, it doesn't matter anymore. After Target and Equifax, basically their board saw that their stock price would rebound in a year. That just became part of the playbook. They just say, okay, if we ride this out for a year and we solve the problem, it's fine. They treat it like nothing more than we had a bad sales year. How would we address this? So it's actually, in my mind, that argument has actually caused more problems. It seemed perfectly logical, right? You're going to see a hit on dividends, which are the money that's paid to you as a stock owner if they pay dividends, extra money there. And then it's going to take a hit on the stock price, which we just haven't seen happen if to use the terms the kids use, if you're diamond hands on the stock.
Diamond.
Right. The real issue that I think is also the reason why this doesn't impact this is the industry that they're in. This is a highly, highly, highly regulated industry. No investors losing their money after this. They're not losing their investments. They're not losing any of that. All of that will not matter. Now, Fidelity, how they come out the other side, how much money they have to spend, maybe that's it. But that's the reason it's not hurting the stock, is the actual core assets, barring them doing something absolutely bananas, which could then be reversed in a highly regulated industry. I don't see why it would impact them.
And Michael Allen on Discord just said, "Oh, I get that, but I think investors are also becoming numb to it, right? Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
There's only so many times Kramer can yell at the camera and throw a cow at you." And say that they've been hacked, that people care. All right, Kelly, I want to get your take on this too.
I have a hot take as well, but I want to hear Kelly's.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we always talk about like the hacky pen testing stuff, and you do a lot with GRC. And what is your take on? Do they care? What happens on the other side of something like this?
Well, Ian, I'm gonna disagree with you slightly. Fine. It is not as highly regulated as we all think it is. Think of the network of trust here. You've got buyers and sellers of real estate. You have real estate attorneys who could be 1, 2, 3 person real estate firms. You have title insurance. The real estate industry is not regulated. Now, the National Association of Realtors does have a data and privacy toolkit, but they really aren't that regulated. And we've seen these types of attacks against the title companies, the insurance companies, the attorneys, even the buyers and sellers. This has been happening for years. And quite frankly, I've seen a lot of buyers and sellers, especially here in Florida, lose money because of phishing attempts, of bad URLs. And so some of the clients that we've had, we've actually said, listen, you've got to go to out-of-band communication. You've got to come up with your own procedure to say, this is actually from the buyer. Here's the transfer of money. Here's the special code, the one-time code, and I'm only going to tell you it over the particular time. So I don't think it's as regulated as we all think it is. And honestly, I think these small, medium-sized businesses really need more help because they aren't as regulated as we think they are.
Well, and going back to the SEC filings, like they did pretty much all. Now, I hate to say that their filing they put out is like, oh, they're going to be fine as far as the SEC is concerned because it's very sparse. But they're still in the middle of working in the incident. I guess I give them a little bit of a pass. But now, was there a press release for this, or was it just their SEC filing where they notified?
I doubt they could get to the email to do the press release.
Try going to their website right now.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. This is how
error.
Yeah, no, this is how ransomware works. My hot take on this is that day one, it's not going to impact. So, like, here's my theory. The stock market is like, it knows about ransomware, and like, it just depends on how fast they recover. So, like, if they can recover in like 48 hours, you get a free pass. If they're down for a week, a month, like Kelly said, these transactions, these real estate transactions, there are 2 people sitting in a room saying, we're trying to send you money and you're trying to get the money. And if they can't use this company, they'll use another company or figure out another way. I think when they start losing, if they're down for a while and they start losing revenue and confidence, this could be actually really bad. That's my prediction. Is like
Because
they
once
don't
they
care.
switch to someplace else, then those firms just continue using that
Exactly.
someplace else.
Yep.
Yes, it's not
And
like it's going to impact their stock price from the investment perspective on day one. But when this industry realizes they have lots of alternatives, they have lots of other options, and like Kelly said, it's not as regulated as we might think. Then they're just going to be like, okay, well, we'll just use a different company, and now this is the inertia is here, and we're just going to stick with this. I mean, I don't know. That's total speculation. We're not financial advice. When all that
the announcement did come through the 8K filing. They have not really given any word from the company.
Yeah, because they can't email each other. Like legitimately, like I'm not joking. Like they're off the map. Like genuinely, these customers probably have these entities, no domain controller, no email, no Exchange server, none of that. Their VMware is probably completely locked out. So
the question is how much more are they going to wind up making because people are delinquent in their mortgage payments? Looking at some of the articles, people have been going ahead and trying to make payments, and they can't even.
This
get
is
into
like
making
Robin
payments.
Hood. They just shut it all down. They don't have to pay.
Maybe it's Mr. Robot.
Yeah,
I would kind of have to agree with Corey a little bit too.
Go ahead. Will, go ahead.
Yep. I was just going to say I would agree with Corey that businesses like this and the way people are, we're creatures of habit. So once we do something, we find out it doesn't work, and then we move on to the next thing. We're not generally just going to go, oh, let me check back on this old one. Yeah. So I think that even though, their stock price isn't affected right now, if they don't recover quickly, it will be very quickly.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something Kelly said real quick.
Radis just brought up a great point. When Mr. Cooper got locked out, they gave a waive on penalties. Is Mr. Cooper back? Are they back up and running? Or are they still?
Is that like Ask Jeeves? What's Mr. Cooper?
Mr. Cooper is a mortgage company, so they are. Yeah, they are. Gotcha. They are a very, very, very large one, and I don't know if they're back up and running. Said customer data was compromised. Oh my gosh, we talked about this. I think.
No, we did.
I think it's important.
Yeah, they're hit.
I think legally, if they still charge people the interest, they could get in trouble because people had no way to pay. So, like, the interest is not on the customer's fault.
Yeah. So, but that's a good point. I don't know if Cooper hanging with Mr. Cooper. I don't know if they're up and running yet, but they had to go through and you had to call in. And they had to get all kinds of weird ways to process payments, which is strange.
I want to go back to something Kelly said real quick, just because she said, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think we disagree in principle. I agree 100%. The title insurance. No, seriously, hear me out. I agree that the title insurance agency is weird. More what I was saying is that the assets themselves, the titles being transferred, those are highly regulated. At least in my experience, it's been very difficult with about 1 million papers to transfer a real estate title and a mobile notary that has to come and do that, and then they scan or they do it digitally and all that stuff. So more where I was going with asset loss is it's not like, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, this service being down and suddenly a bunch of people are like, oh crap, I don't own a bunch of commercial properties and I have no idea how to get them back. I don't think that's gonna happen, but Ian, I
think it depends upon whether you're talking commercial or you're talking individual. A couple of years ago, when my mom passed away, I wound up taking control over some real estate, and it took me $200 in one day to go ahead and get that title changed into my name.
Yeah, but you were the next of kin.
Next
Barbie?
Hey,
Barbie? guys, I want to let's just agree it's bad for them.
It's bad.
Yeah. It's very bad. We can argue how bad. Let's move on because I have to leave and I really want to get to this. Ralph, I mentioned it earlier. Florida man is slipping.
Oh no.
Florida man is slipping. The reason why is because Georgia man was arraigned today on charges arising from a cyber attack that they conducted against a medical center in 2018. According to this incident, Vikas Singala, 45, of Marietta, a chief operating officer of a Metro Atlanta network security company that served healthcare industry, allegedly conducted a cyber attack against a medical center, disrupting their phone service, obtaining information from a digitizing device, disrupting network printing service, and they did all of this as their marketing plan to try to get that hospital to work with them.
Are you wait? Are you serious?
You hack them first, so they're scared.
Okay, I'm calling it right now. We jumped the shark. Like security jumped the shark. Like this is someone went to like a CSO conference and was like, yeah, dude, what you got to do is hack into the company, and then like it's like, you know, it works. It's like the mob, you know, like what?
Your real shame if something happened to that perimeter firewall. We can help you protect it.
I'm gonna like bring Kelly in on this, because Kelly, you were at SANS conferences for a long time with me, right? We go way back. This exact thing was like a lot of people that were in the industry, they talked about doing this. Like, would it be illegal if I actually hacked a company and then told them that they were vulnerable? I think that's gray hat hacking. You know, I'm going through finding vulnerabilities, and then I'm showing them the vulnerabilities, and then I can help them fix it. And it's like, no, that's breaking the law. That's illegal. Is it though? Yes. Are you sure? Like, I would have
even in Florida.
Even in Florida.
There's a line in Florida.
John,
oh my God, it gets worse, guys. The agent in charge is named Chris Hacker of the FBI Atlanta field office.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
So his name actually comes up a lot because of that, because they're in the Atlanta field office, a huge field office. And
is that like the FBI equivalent of FBI staff agents? It's like,
yeah.
Chris Hacker.
Wow.
He was
detective.
How
What's
many
that?
times has he asked for a transfer?
Oh,
How
my gosh.
popular is the last name Hacker?
So, but John, to your point though, there was a whole bunch of people with responsible disclosure that were trying to do responsible disclosure proper, and then there was a whole bunch of people that were doing it improper, right? And so, like, what's that balance? And I don't know that even
it is
well balanced today.
Great point, by the way. We've talked about this a number of times on the show, but we'll bring it up here. If you're going through and you're doing good faith security research, if you just Google that, Department of Justice, good faith security research, you'll come across the guidelines for the Department of Justice and how they handle good faith security research and what they consider to be a differentiation between that and malicious. So if you're doing good faith security research and you find a vulnerability and you go to a vendor and you share that vulnerability with the vendor, and your primary goal is improving the security in that organization or the industry as a whole, and I'm cutting this down quite a bit, then you're a good faith security researcher. If you're hacking companies and accessing data and pulling that data down, you've crossed the line, number one. And number two, if you're doing that and you go to them and you say, hey, I found the security vulnerability, you got to pay me, that's not good faith security research. So the Department of Justice does have guidance that actually breaks down what those two things are. And for the record, this is not that. This is not good faith security research. This one's pretty solidly on that bad side of the line.
So should we tell CJ not to do this then?
Wait. I want to close out one final thing. This came out last year, Grayson.
Yeah.
So, all right. Go ahead. Sorry, Corey.
I just said we should tell CJ not to do this.
Yeah, abort plan, bad idea.
Abort operation viral marketing version 2.
Well, yeah. I remember when
abort plan showdown jackpot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ben just said, that's extortion.
Yeah, that is.
Wait, hold on.
We have a crime for that already.
Hold on.
Influencer said you just got to put a marketing spin on it. That's
yeah. So okay, hold on, because it gets. I just can't. This just keeps getting worse. The assets identified in the indictment paper, which I'm looking at, are just all Lexmark printers. Like, where are you getting your TTPs? All you went after was Lexmark printers? Are you serious? Also, can you imagine being like
recently?
Here's the other crazy thing. Each one of these printers is a potential 10-year sentence. Can you imagine being in jail and being like, if I hadn't gone after that printer in the break room, it would only be 70 years. Like,
the icing on the cake would have been if they actually just put hire whatever their company name was on the printers and started printing it.
Yeah, just print it.
Looks like you've been hacked. You should hire this company.
Oh my God, Goose,
John,
did it. You did it. I experienced cyber operating.
And I love the commitment that he's keeping them fresh and not reusing the same.
I know. It's amazing.
He must be using AI.
It should say 25 years with Lexmark printers specifically.
Yeah. But no, this is, like I said, this is stuff I remember kind of when pen testing first was starting as a thing. There, you would always get in conversations like, well, if I did this, well, why would that be illegal? I'm just telling him. It's like, no, that's illegal. You're breaking a ton of laws. But am I? Yes, you are. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You will go to prison for that. I just think it's interesting that he actually tried it. And I would love it if somebody out there works at this medical center. What did he print? Because
what did he print?
It was money. He printed money. That's how the FBI got involved.
Let's be honest. Our imaginations can run wild. Inquiring minds want to know. And us wondering is worse than us knowing, because could it be an advertisement for a cybersecurity company?
Okay.
Could it be just you've been hacked? Could it be Goatsy? We don't know. It could be any of those
John,
things.
I'd like to request a couple months. I'd like to request, or no, you know what? We need to make a screenplay. Let's get it in front of Netflix.
This is close. Stupid Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
Just does the dumbest shit
Mr.
ever.
GoBot.
Mr. GoBot.
It's like the sci-fi version of Mr. Robot where like
what happened?
I
gotta step out. Corey, I'm leaving you in charge.
Oh God.
No.
All right.
Look at this disheveled man.
All right. Hello.
Nice seeing
my
you,
name's John
John. Bye,
Strand.
John.
Wow. I can't, like, that article is just peak. Like, it's everything that like you should never do ever.
Beautiful. I think it's important though that when these things happen, I'm not defending that situation in any way, but it does set a precedent sometimes for non-technical leadership in lawmaking and all kinds of stuff that could have impacts on this community, right?
Yes,
in negative ways, not necessarily in positive ways. So we
Really?
have to be mindful of that, just to make sure that that all the people that make decisions know what decisions they're making if these types of things continue to happen.
So are you conjecturing then that this person just told people to go do this and didn't actually do it themselves?
No, I'm saying that it's important to just make sure that you have a proper. I'm not saying that this person had a scope, but it just goes to echo that if you're doing any type of pen testing or anything, that you're supposed to have certain scopes, you're supposed to be do certain things, because you can really easily get into hot water and get yourself into some legal trouble.
I don't think that's what happened.
No, absolutely. I don't think. No, that's not what happened. I'm saying when this type of stuff happens, it does potentially set a legal precedent in the future for other non-malicious actors.
But this is just the precedent that if you hack computers, that's illegal. That's not a new precedent.
Well, Grayson, let me add to what you're saying there. This was the chief operating officer or chief something officer, right? Though when you have that title, you have a fiduciary responsibility to the organization, and you are bound by certain ethical restraints simply by having that title. And also you're covered by damages and liability, officers insurance. So I think this guy was just a bad apple.
Yep, absolutely. And it's important that we note, how those bad apples can influence not only that organization, but the cybersecurity or community in whole, right? Because bad apples need to be held to bad apple laws, right? Other people don't that are potentially doing it for non-malicious needs and intents.
Yeah,
so
I think I picked up on what you're putting down, though, and I think it's important to say, even though we do already have the laws in place to say, hey, we already have this. Well, this is a computer crime. It has been listed since the 80s.
Yep.
No problem. But when you go through, and I'll tie it back to what Corey said about the printers, when you say, oh, they hacked this many printers, and you establish a precedent for prosecutors to say, we were able to put this person in jail for this specific type of thing, I think it all ties together with what everyone said, is that these lawmakers and whatnot, they don't know that a Lexmark printer is, maybe it's not the hardest target in the world, but they do know that they've got some 20-year-old on a college campus that did something, and they can get another win in the prosecution column because the precedent and the case law for how they got this other person in jail is exactly the same. So I agree that although it's already there, prosecuting that sets up a kind of a dangerous precedent to take people who would be good faith researchers and pin them to something that was clearly not good faith.
I kind of think the opposite. I think this is actually a demonstration that, because it says specifically in the indictment that it says aided and abetted by others unknown to the grand jury. So the way I read that is if your COO tells you to go hack this company and you're like, I don't think this is a good idea, but you do it anyway, as long as you flip when the FBI comes knocking, you won't be indicted. The COO will. That's how I read it. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know if that's actually the indictment, but the fact that it rolled uphill instead of the COO probably would want it to roll downhill to the actual person that hit enter on the Lexmark printer and hacked it. Like, that's how I read this personally, which I see as a good thing.
Right. That's standard RICO stuff. They're like, we want the big charges and we can get that with the C-level person, so let's turn the people below them.
Yeah, like, which is how it should be. If someone comes to you and says, go hack this company, we're going to get their business because they're going to think they're breached. And I'm like, that sounds like a bad idea, but I guess I'm just rank and file, so whatever you say. I don't want that charge. I want that charge to go to the person that told me, right? That's how I see it. I don't know if that's the details of the case or not, but I'm just saying, interpreting it through that lens, I feel good about the precedent versus I'm glad it rolled uphill and not downhill personally. Usually you would expect it to go the opposite way.
That's fair.
But anyway, I guess like Grayson, do you have a take on the SolarWinds situation where the leader, or I think it was the CSO, was it like under criminal proceedings or whatever by the SEC? Or are you aware of that situation?
I haven't been following it most recently, but I'm not an attorney. I happen to be married to one that's a pretty darn good one, and so she knows a lot more about what's going on in that world than I do. But it's just interesting what to Ian, to kind of your point a minute ago, that some of these people that are non-technical that are making laws can oftentimes misinterpret or cite case law that then is a precedent for other things, right? And so we want to make sure that they're not doing that. So I don't know as it pertains to the situation with the most recent disclosure around the SolarWinds situation. I don't really know one way or the other if I haven't read any of that. So I haven't read.
It was basically, we talked about it on a previous show. The gist of it was basically he told investors that the security was great and best in the industry, and he also was getting emails like the same time that said the security's not great. We know it's not great. So it was basically like fraud, like
mediocre
lying.
Best.
Yeah,
it was criminal.
Like it was mostly that he said it was good, even though it was terrible. I think it was less about like any specific cyber stuff, whereas this is much more like in the thick of it.
Yeah. Kelly was actually talking about exactly what that qualifies under, that errors and the other word is omissions insurance. And so if officers of the company knew something that investors should have known, or they weren't told something that they should have known, that insurance is meant to cover that. And it kind of is exactly that, only they took it a step farther because it wasn't even ambiguous. It was, we knew this stuff. And hey, no, everything's great, guys. It's shiny.
Yeah, we joked that like the new program at SolarWinds is they just don't tell the CSO anything. So but yeah, no. That's it. I mean, I think it's hopefully we'll we'll keep an eye on that article for the show and see if there's any, like, I would love to hear a take of someone who's actually practices law, right? Like obviously none of us really know. So it'd be interesting to hear from someone who's like, I'm going to use this for this purpose, or the judges are going to use this for this purpose, or that kind of thing. Like, so we'll keep an eye on this article. Plus, we want to hear all the juicy details for our screenplay that's going to go to Netflix next year.
That's right.
It's going to be huge.
Ryan, can we pull up Rayner, if I'm saying your thing on their quote on the screen? The SolarWinds CISO indictment is not an infosec indictment. It's a charge for violating the cardinal sin of capitalism. They lied to the shareholders.
That's just good business. What are you talking about?
You know the rule in America, right? You never steal from the rich.
That's exactly.
That's how you go to prison.
You got to
steal from the poor and you're good. You steal from the rich and they will get you. And there's been plenty of cases just recently. The CEO of that one exchange that he stole
FTX?
from the rich.
Bankman-Fried.
Yes, Bankman-Fried.
Sam
Exactly.
Friedman?
Sam
Bankman-Fried.
Friedman-Royd. Anyways, he
Bankman-Fried
is going to prison for lots and lots of time because he stole from the rich. Anyways.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's exactly the joke I was going to make. It's like, guess that made the cardinal sin of stealing from the rich, because that's what got made off. That's what
I just can't wait for all the juicy hacking scenes of the Lexmark printers, like foggy room, Lexmark printers going down left and right. He's printing, he's faxing, he's using all the functions of the multifunction printer.
They pull it off. What does the hacker have to say?
How can he even do this?
It says Cyber Monday deal on pen tests. Call now. I don't understand.
Flackvest has it right as far as the SolarWinds guy goes. It wasn't. Lying was not the crime. Getting caught lying was the crime.
It's
never a crime till you get caught.
Is always the crime. Come on.
Yeah, that's always true.
I'm telling you, the people that you should fear the most at catching you are the people who have lots of money. Okay, because they can bring the resources to continuously look for that. Right. So.
And none of them are vindictive or malicious or poorly educated or anything like that.
Nope.
I think it's really it's interesting though, and Kelly, I'd love to get your feedback on this too. There's a big difference between even knowing that you have a problem and having, whether you're regulated or unregulated or anywhere in between as an organization, whether you have money, high budgets to fix problems or no budgets to fix problems. Just having an understanding that the problems are there is very different than buying down that technical debt to actually solution and fix those problems, right? And so whether you're doing active protection or you're doing pen testing or you're doing whatever you're trying to do, and you've got this big bucket of money, you also have this big list of problems. You're trying to figure out what that alignment is. What do you think is the hardest thing for people to get started to understand that? Like, I mean, we're pointing at SolarWinds as the example, but just balancing risk, basic risk, right?
Well, I don't think people understand risk to begin with. One of the analogies I like to use is I used to live in Wisconsin, so my house insurance would deal with things like a roof that collapsed from too much snow on it or ice. Down here, I've got hurricane insurance, because I'm in Florida. Understanding the environment you're in and the risks that lead to threats and vulnerabilities. I think we've done a poor job teaching CISOs or upper level leadership at the board level how to understand risk, because it makes no sense for me to put a fortified snow roof on in a house in Florida. But if I'm a mortgage company with title insurance with large monetary transactions, maybe I should invest more in my perimeter defenses, my zero trust defenses. I just don't think we really quantify, or that's not the right word. We understand risk well.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's hard, and it doesn't really matter how big of an organization or small of an organization. I think in general, most people have a difficult time, understanding risk. And cyber is such a black box to most folks. It's difficult. I understand how they don't know how to balance it. So not saying I agree with getting caught lying or not understanding, but there's a lot of people that just don't get it, right, too. So CISOs certainly need to have a better understanding of their risk.
Well, the risk thing, the other thing I would add in about that is it's not only that they don't understand the risk necessarily. A lot of big organizations, and this is something that engineers deal with all the time, they want to get in the weeds. They want you to understand, and this was something that John Ports, if he's listening, hey bud, used to say all the time, you do not understand the downstream impacts. Every single cost-saving measure, every single, we're going to switch to this outsourcer and it's going to save us so much money. They only look at the primary impacts, the money savings, the glossy marketing material, whatnot, because they don't get down into the weeds on it because it's not in their area of concern. Their area of concern is trimming budget and whatnot. So when they say that they don't understand it, well, they understand the risks that are important to them and what they
Right.
do, saving money, bringing the payroll to manageable levels, whatever it is. But when you say, hey, when you do this to save this money, when you go to outsource, when you do this, and here's all the downstream impacts, the talent loss, the this, the that, the one person who runs that box, that runs the scripts that power the Move It server, which is actually the thing that makes us money, you're about to fire them. You know,
Yep.
and they don't understand that, and then this stuff plays out, and they go, well, why didn't anybody tell me that was a risk? We did. You just didn't want to hear the details.
Well, and when
I
they
mean,
do get that understanding of risk, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just
Oh no, you're good.
it takes a long time to get budget for something. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
could understand a risk, and then you don't have that aligned budget in that year's,
Mhm.
in that year's budget at all, and then you got to then go ask for leadership to give you that and understand how to translate that information so that they get it. And sometimes it's too late. So
And for that, if we can come back to my camera, I have this lovely device. It is my management accepts the risk stamp.
I love it. I need one of those.
Use this in meetings when I got fed up. I was like, fine, you know what, my advice? Here you go. Here, have it.
Accept
You know,
risk.
There's a stamp.
And
Yeah,
you bring
I
up
mean,
a really
I
good
think-
point, Ian. One of the things that I do a lot when I'm editing reports is I try to act like an advocate for whoever's going to be on the receiving end of our reports. And I think in 2 reports today already, I've said, okay, we need to explain why this is bad. I get it. Others are not going to, and especially this has to be done in the executive summaries, and it has to be done in a non-technical, practical manner, because if you're not a CIO, if you're not a CTO, you're not a CISO, you probably don't have the technical chops to understand detailed forensic speak or getting down into the weeds about this, that, and the other thing. Even explaining something like good password policies, it has to be simplified. And that's one place that we still continuously fail.
Amen, sister. Preach it.
I mean, another thing about the SolarWinds thing, since we're talking about it, and this will be the last thing we talk about, but basically, the people who operate in these spaces, like chief operating officers of large companies, they kind of are they're in rarefied air of like, there's very small job market for them, but they're very expensive and hard to find and all that good stuff. But when you've been charged with fraud and internal control failures, you're basically out of the job market. Like, so I think like CSOs take heed of this. Like, don't just accept the risk. That's the precedent this sets from my book, is like, no one's going to be like, well, we hired him to a CSO and here's the press release. He was charged with internal control failures and fraud, and he's great. Like, so like basically the CSO is that like role where it could be a career ending move, like quite literally. So
Well, for a publicly traded company, for sure.
True. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm not to say that this person, it could be false charges or, unfair or whatever, but assuming the charges end up sticking, I feel like you're untouchable, right? I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
I know Kelly brought it up, the fiduciary responsibility. If you've got SEC charges, no board could possibly say, no, we did our due care and due diligence by hiring someone who had SEC charges against them for fraud. That's not going to happen in a public.
There were minor fraud charges.
It was just a light fraud.
Light treason.
Don't worry, you can never be indicted for the same crime twice. So I'm free to go. Let's party.
Yeah, let's
That's
party.
it. That's the new thing. Once you get the
double
SEC
jeopardy.
charges,
Yeah.
then you go through and you're like, I can commit all the public security fraud I want, baby.
Our security's amazing.
If only it worked that way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we should wrap up the show. Come to our Snake Oil Summit. Ian, you want to talk about the Snake Oil Summit?
Not
Since
really.
I'm putting you on the spot. Okay.
No, I will. Yeah. No. Come to the Snake Oil Summit on the 6th and 7th. We've got low-cost training. We've got lots of talks. It's all online, all virtual. So in about a week, come check it out. You can go to anti-siphontraining.com and check out the schedule of speakers and other things going on. So we hope to see you there.
And on the final note, have a fantastic week.
Indeed.
And
You guys all look great.
kill it with fire, Ryan. I'm scared.